Let's freaking go! I can't believe I'm being accused of being pregnant. I know I've gained weight, Tony, but you don't call me prego. Welcome to the PHL live stream. And right now, the story is this transfer portal. Obviously, Jayden Daniels has a big choice to make over the next week or so. I do think you will be hearing an announcement from Jayden Daniels, and we are going to discuss the LSU quarterback room for next season. Also, something else I think that and look, I'm going to be completely honest with you. I would be very careful as far as transfer portal rumors for any, and I mean any LSU player or any potential LSU Tiger that might join the roster next year. Okay. I know a lot of you want to talk about Walker Howard tonight. I know a lot of you want to talk about Garrett Nussmeier. I know a lot of you want to talk about the depth chart going into next year. Now, something else that I will mention that I think is very important here is, well, look, there's a lot of rumors surrounding Denver Harris. I will say that the LSU brass and the LSU staff, the poll question is up right now. Which position do you think will be hit the hardest in the transfer portal for future Tigers? It's defensive back. I think that's where LSU will really focus over the next few weeks. I do think that they want to bring in another tight end, especially now with the Cole Taylor news. I think that they felt that way anyway. So I think secondary and tight end are going to be the two big positions that LSU will attack in the portal. Now, before we get to some of your comments here, we say hi to Larry. We say hi to Jacob. We say hi to RSX. We say hi to Tony. Both Tonys, my good friend Jared, Skipper, Derek, a lot of people here. Tyler, good to see you. Jacob, Jason, good to see all of you. Joshua, Turd, I love it. R.I.P. Norm McDonald. Bill, good to see you. Call Eric Gilbert back. Oh, come on, please. Don't, please. Y'all know that's Voldemort here. Don't bring up his name. Please don't. And actually, I kind of referenced him in my Cole Taylor tweet earlier today, so I need to, take my own advice here. But I didn't actually reference Eric Gilbert by name. So what I want to do over the next few minutes is share something that I feel is fair to a young man, and that is Cole Taylor, right? Now, in our film studies, I would bring up times where Cole would make a big play and sometimes where Cole would miss a block here or there. Put all of that aside, right? Was he Thaddeus Moss? Was he Brock Bowers? No. But the one thing I'll say about Cole Taylor is that he was never hurt. He was always available to us. And when a player quit on us in 2020, he stepped in and provided one of the most iconic moments in the history of this program. And that alone deserves praise, right? He was a 3-star tight end from Grand Junction, Colorado, who quite frankly played too quickly. But he had to. We didn't have any other tight ends. I want to give Cole Taylor all the credit in the world for what he gave this program. He put his body on the line for us. He oftentimes was overmatched with some really good players. And I don't think there was ever a case where he didn't actually play hard. I wish him nothing but the best. And I'm going to be a big Cole Taylor fan wherever he goes. Because all this guy did was just put it all out there for us. And he was put in some very difficult spots. So, yes, he left. But at least he was available, right? Also, today we saw Kobe Fields. We saw Ray Darius Jones enter the transfer portal. That goes along with some other players that have entered the portal that weren't big contributors. So up to this point, the biggest LSU Tiger that has entered the transfer portal is Jack Bash, right? He is by far the best player that has entered the portal. Now, we did lose Jay Ward and Mekhi Gardner over the last 48 hours. Ali Gay is going to be gone. So we're losing some key pieces on our defense, but really Ali Gay with Savion Jones behind him, that should be taken care of, especially if you think Deshaun Womack is a real deal. Some of you do. So for me, I just wanted to show some love to Cole Taylor because, man, that guy, it didn't matter what situation he was put in. He went out there and really got after it. And for that, I tip my hat to him, right? So, yeah, he offered up his shoe. His biggest play was not tightening his shoes. Man, I don't ever want to say that about any player. Was Cole Taylor, like I said, was he great? No, he wasn't great, but he played hard, right? I don't like saying that word about any LSU Tiger because I love everybody that suits up for us. Laura, good to see you. There you go, Carlos. There you go. Show some love. Appreciate it. Subscribe, like, ring the bell. Good to see you. We'll see what Jaquelin Roy does. I'm not going to say one way or the other. There's a piece of me that thinks he's interested in coming back. But there's a piece of me that also says, hey, this guy, what makes it interesting about him and BJ Ojolari and Kayshawn is all three of them have essentially like started their entire careers, basically. They both started getting an immense amount of playing time at the same time in 2020. So, yeah, we'll see. Let's go to Tony, the super chat here. Who is your biggest hopefuls? Let's start off with, to me, the guy that has always been really high on my personal board, and that is ZAVIEN Thomas, right? So he decommits from Mississippi State. There is some smoke involving ZAVIEN Thomas and LSU. Now, is ZAVIEN Thomas a great wide receiver? We don't know. Mississippi State rarely played him there, and I always wondered why they didn't try and manufacture him some touches in the actual game. But ZAVIEN Thomas was a return specialist this year for Mississippi State, and he was a really good punt returner. He had a good game versus us. He had a punt return versus Georgia for a tutty. He also muffed one, I believe, versus Alabama. But ZAVIEN Thomas was, he was a top 5 player in Louisiana for me in the 2022 cycle. And I had a higher grade on him than Shaz, Kendrick Law, Aaron Anderson, and all those guys. He's got elite speed. He is really good when the football gets in his hands. He's just tiny. He's really, really small. So would he ever be a wide receiver at the college level? I don't know because he is undersized. But he is really explosive with the football in his hands, and he is also stocky, right? He's got a strong build. So, think like watered down Steve Smith, if you will. And, I would say ZAVIEN Thomas should be really high on your boards because we need a return guy, right? I think, if someone is willing to come back to Louisiana and play for LSU and start his career off as our return specialist, that makes life a lot easier on Coach Polian, right? And while Clayton has been a reliable return guy, it is important we get somebody back there that has a little bit more pop. And ZAVIEN Thomas definitely has that. Once again, offensively, I don't know what he could give you, but if the football is in his hands, he has got true home run hitting ability. So I'm going to go with him for my personal pick there. I also think Denver Harris is somebody that's very interesting. we'll see. I think LSU is going to do their due diligence here because obviously this is huge for LSU if they can get a 5-star corner to replace Mekhi Gardner and to replace, um, you know, the opposite corner here from Mekhi, which of course is Jarek Bernard Converse. Denver Harris would start right away for us. He's got that ability. Now, the thing is would everything else be buttoned up for Denver Harris? The one thing you'll say about LSU, and look, I know we're all LSU fans and we like to use the word culture, but LSU really has established a really strong culture. And you give Brian Kelly a lot of credit for that. But honestly, the person that deserves the most credit for that are the players, right? I do think chemistry was a big reason why this team won a lot of games. They were really together. Over the years, I would get texts from people I know that's around the program every single day about this is unbuttoned up and this guy thinks this way about where the direction of the program is going. Honestly, I just haven't heard much of that this year. And I'm not just saying that because, it's our current roster or whatever. This team really like being around each other. So I do think chemistry does play a role here. And, you do wonder about any transfer that's coming in. Are you coming in to be a part of something bigger? Because, look, next year is going to be a college football playoff or bust kind of year for us, right? A lot of things shape up really well, right? Especially considering the most talented player on this team unselfishly decided to come back. So, and we're getting, some other supreme 5-star talents coming into the roster and returning to the roster. So, I'm really freaking excited about the potential of Denver Harris because he is really good. He's a really good football player. It was clear, watching him in high school, and it's clear now. He could really play. And when he was on the field for Texas A&M, he was good. Now, there's a lot of other players that have Louisiana ties that LSU is going to really be interested in. Obviously, Jacoby Matthews is one also from Texas A&M. I also want to bring up some recruits as well, as far as hopefuls are concerned. You would like to think Desmond Ricks or JAYDEN Toviano, if not both of them, will be ready to play in year one if they do decide to go to LSU. And they do have a bunch of really, really, really talented LSU players that are that are fighting for those spots that are returning to the roster. Right? What does LaTerrence Welsh have in his arsenal? Jordan Allen. What about those guys? I do think the secondary, though, is pretty gutted, right? Demarius McGee is gone. Redarius Jones is gone. Obviously, neither of them really played this year. Redarius Jones was suspended the entire year. So a lot of these long shot hopefuls, they're not going to play. Now, one name I will keep out here, Tony, for the secondary is Jaden Thompson-Robinson, right? A very interesting defensive back, a 3-star who's entering year 2. He's got elite speed, right? And I think he's going to fight for some playing time next year. So we'll see. Oh, Perkins at tight end. Go for it. Why not? Okay. Do we see here Nolan Leanders? Good to see you. There's our guy, John. It seems like most people want the DBU to come back to LSU next season. Yeah, and look, I'll say this, FACP. What's very interesting is that, when you look at, the LSU defensive back room, and I know a lot of you want to talk some Jaden Daniels. Once again, whatever you want to talk about, feel free to super chat. Buy some merch, powerhourlsu.com. Once again, I'm giving out Joe Burrow cards all night long to people that get merch. So there you go. And yeah. Now, I want to talk about the defensive backs here. I do think some players regressed as the season moved on. I will say this though. Our secondary was a net positive this year. Okay. So let's actually take apart layer by layer here the LSU secondary. Okay. The first big hurdle was moving on from Corey Raymond. Okay. That was a big hurdle. Whether or not you want to believe it, it was a huge hurdle, not only for the DBs that were on the team, but DBs that played for LSU previously. Okay. Now, I did a video at the time saying, I think LSU will survive this. DBU was DBU before Corey Raymond. And not only did they survive it, the secondary played better. Whereas Florida's secondary this year really struggled. They really, really did. So I'm not saying Corey Raymond was the problem, but I do think two fresh voices, one that is very young and hungry and Robert Steeples, and one that's a little bit older and Kerry Cooks, who's a little bit more experienced. I think those two did a really good job this year. I really did. And obviously Matt House's game and obviously having Harold Perkins on the field changed everything. Obviously, we had some amazing performances this year as well. Jay Ward, won us the Mississippi State game. The Alabama game, you can make a case that Jarek Bernard-Converse won us that game. That was one of the best corner performances you will ever see. Now, Jarek won't go down as one of the best corners ever at LSU. But if you were to write down the top 5 or top 10 DB performances ever, he has to be in there. He does. So he was so good in that game for us. And then obviously Greg Brooks winning us the Auburn game. Now, did that unit regress some towards the end of the year? Yeah, it did some. But it wasn't as if like LSU was in a position where they at any times they were just given a big explosive plays. This was a really sound unit. And you could tell that we had adults and experience back there. Once again, not the highest upside group, but a lot of hungry players that played together. And, it was very interesting to see this year progress. Now, FACP, I think by far, and FACP's real name is John. He's become one of my really good friends. The one thing I'll say is next year, the biggest wild card in this defensive back room will be Sage Ryan. Okay. It is amazing, right? I like to share with you the questions that I get, whether it be Twitter DM, whether it be Discord DM. I talk mostly with my patrons on Discord. I highly recommend you check it out. Been having a lot of great conversations, in particular with TJ, Victoria, Tony. The Discord's great. You get one-on-one, opportunities to chat with me. And, I get a lot of questions about Sage Ryan. I do. And I do think a few things can be true. Number one, a lot of people made a lot of amazing catches on him this year, right? Sometimes that's going to happen. But, next year it is year 3, and we want to see the superstar leap from the former 5-star recruit. He is a good DB at this point, right? Had some rough patches, but, he had the big 4th down play versus Pittman versus Florida State. I still believe in him. I do. So as far as the DBs are concerned, we are going to hope, pray, fingers crossed that Sage Ryan takes a huge leap forward because we're going to need it. It would be absolutely massive if he turned into the player that a lot of us expect him to be. So we'll see. And, safety was his initial position. We'll see. Was that a Mick, Reed, LA Mom, Bill? Okay. Hey, Gardner declared for the NFL. Lots of DB chatter early. I feel like he could have done more on the field. I feel like he's going to be a late day 2 or 3 pick. I think Gardner was fine this year, right? Um, Once again, I don't think there is a single DB on this team that, catapulted themselves amongst, the top 10, if not top 20 DBs of this LSU era. But I would much rather a secondary of 6 solid players instead of one superstar, one really good player, and 4 scrubs, right? And that's the key. I think now more than ever, you've got to have numbers at DB. You just do. They play a lot of special teams. They're oftentimes, some of the fastest players on your team. And yeah, it's very, very, very interesting. Oh yeah, Matthew Langlois, my God from New Roads. Don't be calling out New Roads, Larry. I'll come give you a 2-piece spicy. You're threatening my hood. You do not come after Point Compete Bearish, man. Where are my False River fans? Let's go. But yeah, I hope Matthew Langlois breaks out. He's still on the roster. He's still around. So yeah, I will come after New Road Center. I kind of want to put on my New Road shirt. Okay. Jay Ward is really good for us this year. And, I think the good comp for Jay Ward's career is he was a not quite as good Dante Jackson, right? And Dante's one of our best players. But, Jay Ward played every position in the secondary like Dante did. And he was good. He was a really good player. And Dante was a 5-star and Jay Ward was a 3-star. So yeah, I'm never gonna forget Jay Ward, right? Blocking the kick versus Arkansas. And he had a rough game going into that final drive, and he made 2 big plays. God, I'm gonna miss Jay Ward. He's just a really, really, really solid football player. And yeah. Yeah, that's inevitable. Now, the issue here, ASAP, good to see you as well. Shout out Zachary. I'm glad you weren't here the other day. They were slandering Zachary after the Rustin upset this past weekend. Okay, so this is the complicated truth about offensive linemen in the portal, is that they don't go into the portal as much as skill guys do. So I do think some of the offensive linemen that are on LSU and that are on other rosters are worried about, will they find a landing spot? And it's hard. It's really, really, really hard. I think this is, something it'll come off as criticism, but I don't want to ever, say anybody isn't good at football. Obviously, if you're at LSU, you're a good football player. But, I do want to address this now, and I think it is very, very, very important to address this now. There were, and this is not on Brian Kelly. This was the hand that he was dealt, okay? So a lot of people bring up that the LSU roster went from 39 scholarship guys to the mid 70s, factoring in injuries and all of that. But the real scholarship roster count was in the high 40s, low 50s. What I mean by that is there was a lot of guys on scholarship that dressed out, that were available, that were healthy, and they just didn't play. The LSU viewed them as non-playable. And that's an issue, okay? And the thing is when there's so many of those guys on your team, they don't have film. They don't have film to send to another team to say, hey, I'm interested in playing here. So yeah, it's you're between a rock and a hard place, really. And that's going to be a big issue for LSU moving forward, right? So, for instance, one school that is really good, just anecdotally here, I would need to actually go do a, you know, roster by roster search. But one school that does a really good job of not missing and developing and putting together really deep rosters is Georgia, right? And I know Georgia's got, more 5 stars than us, and they're the best recruiting school in the country, along with Alabama and Ohio State. But I've kind of become a Kirby fan this year. It's kind of hard to be an LSU fan and not respect what Kirby did because he did the opposite of O, right? He put together another championship roster the year after. But Georgia just doesn't seem like they miss on a lot of guys, right? It seems like they're so deep. They're 2 deep, 3 deep. And the issue for us in that game is that we are not that. And that is an issue. Okay. We have got to get to that point so we can compete with them, right? The only way you can beat those teams like that is if you have that kind of depth, right? The one thing that, so our last championship team in 2019, let's just go through a few of our championship teams. In 2011, we had really deep rosters, right? Like Kevin Minter was not like a huge piece of our team in 2011, but he was on the team. Jarvis Landry was not a huge piece of our team, but he was on the team, right? We were deep because we're so deep because those guys barely played, right? And, it wasn't the case this year. If you could play, you were going to be a part of the rotation. And that's the thing. Our rotations were not really anything at any positions. And something else I'll share is I feel like because of it, now this is me just doing logic here. I do think a lot of guys played through injury. I do think a lot of guys sucked it up and, gritted it out for the team. And, I really do think this team will go down as one of the scrappiest teams in LSU history. We just kept fighting and clawing. And you guys know I don't like to use these subjective things, but honestly, if you just look at whether you look at the yard per play data, whether you look at some of these back and forth games that we played, we were just really good in close games this year. And some of that's good luck, but a lot of that is just guys just sticking it out, not crumbling under the pressure, playing for each other. Those things really stand out. So, yeah, I just got a whole new respect for Kirby Smart after what he did to us this past weekend and what he's done this year. To be quite honest, hi to Jules, good to see you. I didn't see your comment before this. I just clicked on we got over 200 people in here now. I was clicking on one random one. It says, I thought it was a strip joint when I drove by at it at first. I thought you were referencing this channel. Turns out it was just really good food. I'm kind of interested what this is referencing here. I was in New Roads last week. I ate a Hot Tails. You know what's funny? I've never had it. I don't live in New Roads anymore. I ain't gone home in a while. I guess I got to try Hot Tails in New Roads. Shout out to Satterfields in New Orleans. I said New Orleans in New Roads. I've always enjoyed eating there. But normally, if I'm there, I'm eating my family's food. But yeah, I guess I got to try Hot Tails. PHL meetup at Hot Tails in New Roads. Matthew Langlois party. Simper, good to see you. Good to see you as well. The official college football chatter. Good to see you, Creek. MC. Yeah, I'm a big ZAVIEN Thomas guy. People flying in here. There he is, John Sibley. Won't be there long. Coming for it. I like that attitude. Let's go. So, I do think something is I find to be very interesting is while Georgia is really good, we got DJ Chester. Now, we haven't talked a whole lot about DJ on this channel. I hadn't really talked so much about, individual 2023 recruits, not named Shelton Sampson or Lance Hurd. It's just how it works. You want to talk about the Louisiana guys. But honestly, DJ Chester might be the most important recruit in this class for this reason. Brad Davis finally got him an elite offensive lineman from out of state. And that's a good thing. Okay. So shout out to Brad for getting that deal done. And I'm excited to see DJ in an LSU uniform next year. I like him. I do. I do like him. Smackover, Arkansas, best town in the country. Shout out Jonathan Pookie Monica. Semper, no, Semper, don't be jumping the gun here. I'm going to call Anthony Starr Presley and be like, hey, if one of my folks calls you, don't take Semper's call because he's trying to cheat on the contest. And I like your timing too, Semper, right at the 30-minute mark. I love it. Really appreciate that. I guess, I don't know. I guess I got to try Hot Tails. I always rep New Roads, Louisiana, but I guess I got to try it. Let's go to, oh, thank you so much, Roger. I appreciate it. So this past weekend, I got to hang out with Roger at SEC Fan Fest. That's his wonderful daughter. She is a Pi Phi at LSU. I met both of them. So Roger is actually the only PHLer who has shown up at both of our meetups. So we did a quick meetup at the SEC Fan Fest this past weekend, and we did one in New Orleans earlier this year. Roger, I appreciate your friendship. Appreciate you. Let's see if I can get Roger's photo up here. I put you in our last film study as well. Let me see. There it is. Let me put it up here really quickly. So there you go. Roger, thank you for your generosity. Tell the family I said hello. Roger, also a fellow big fan of Big Bill Burr. He's coming to New Orleans pretty soon. Bill Burr, arguably the best to ever hold the microphone. All right, let's keep it moving here. LSU 40 years to be relevant. Thank Kev Falk for making us relevant again. How about that? Got to meet and hang out with Kev Falk and his family this weekend in Atlanta as well. I thought that was pretty cool. Got a photo too. That was also part of the stream. Not gonna lie, I was kind of, there's some LSU legends that, you get kind of nervous meeting the first time. He's one of them. Like, I mean, because none of this is potentially possible without him. So here's Roger and his buddy. I forgot his buddy's name. But shout out to you too. I really appreciate you, Roger. And you get to pick the next topic, Roger. Anything you want to talk about? You want to talk quarterbacks? We'll talk quarterbacks, okay? You want to talk Kev Falk? We'll talk Kev Falk. What's up, Mike? Called Jay Ward Captain America for brilliantly winning the Arkansas game, but Jay ain't no Dante Jackson. For sure. Dante was your favorite Tiger. I like that. Dante, very underrated. My favorite thing about Dante Jackson is that there is not a position he could not play in the secondary. Can't really say that about a lot of the DBs that have played at LSU. Obviously, Tyron could play every one of the positions, but, Jay Ward could do it as well. A few of you want to talk about divisions, and no divisions in the SEC. So, for me, okay, let's go to Roger Super Chat, okay? Depth is the key, and it's going to take a couple years to build that depth. You build depth through recruiting, not portal. I think Kirby Smart did not tap the portal last year, correct? Let's see, did Kirby not tap the portal? I'm trying to think. They had to have gotten somebody, right? So, this is very interesting, and this honestly is a great, Super Chat here, okay? So last year they asked Brian Kelly about this, and it was ironically in the bowl game, right? They said, "Hey, this year you're going to build through the portal," which we did. And they said, "Is that something you're going to want to do moving forward?" And Brian Kelly said, "No, I do want to have massive amounts of high school players that come in, right?" And I agree with that, right? To Roger's point here, obviously, Stetson kind of sort of is a transfer, but he kind of sort of isn't. Um, yeah, I think it does start with high school football recruiting, right? I think, you know, I think transferring is great. I love the transfer portal. There are rare circumstances where you as a transfer, you had no like real choice but to transfer. I think one of those examples obviously was like Jack Besh recently. We know he's a really good player, but he had to transfer, right? Then someone like Drew Sanders at Arkansas. He was arguably the best defensive player from start to finish in the conference this year. Um, he had to transfer. Will Anderson was playing his position. So, you're not better than Will Anderson. So, and Dallas Turner. So he decided, look, I got to pack my bags. There's just too much ahead of us. So, yeah, you could build on really good players that decide to transfer. Obviously, we mentioned Converse earlier, but those are few and far between, right? Like, you still need a lot of high school kids. And, Roger, a good example of this is, let's take someone like Zalance Hurd. It is going to be really difficult for Zalance Hurd and his ability, his raw ability, to not be a decent player at the next level, right? It's kind of hard to look at him and not think that his floor is Austin Deculus, right? He is going to be a good football player, and he might not need to start. And a good example of this, Roger, is we're talking about, classes. As great as Will Campbell and Emory Jones was for us this year, and they were amazing. Honestly, from start to finish, they had some rough games. They had some missed assignments going up against adults that are going to make, seven figures next year. But let's say, and let's talk about the best offensive lineman of the championship era. You could argue it's Andrew Whitworth. You can argue it's, Saron Black. You can Ben Wilkerson. But honestly, Lyle Collins was just so great. He was so great. Like, put on Jeremy Hill's highlight tape, and you'll see basically it's Jeremy Hill making a lot of plays and Lyle Collins opening a lot of holes. Huh? It's basically the Redemptorist tape. But, Lyle Collins didn't have to play his true freshman season. We had such a deep line, right, with, Will Blackwell and T-Bob and all those guys. And that depth was like very, very, very important. And, you got to build it through both the portal, but most of it has to come through high school, right? And yeah, I think, yeah, it is very key. Now, Roger, the hard thing that's going to be now about building really, really deep rosters is 4 and 5 stars don't want to sit, right? They want to play. So it's going to be even harder as we move forward to have just this ridiculous amount of depth because guys want to play, right? So yeah, it's going to be very interesting. I also think, Roger, as far as like high school recruiting versus like transfer portal recruiting, one thing that's going to be very difficult for LSU is to say, look, what do we need to do to build our lines better through recruiting? Do we need to take more chances on Louisiana 3 stars? Maybe there's an Osiris Torrance or a Zach Tom that we look over. And those guys could be the difference between, a championship team and a non-championship team, right? It's hard. The high school recruiting evaluation is really, really, really hard. And, it's hopefully, all those things get better. But thank you for the super chat. I really appreciate it. But yeah, you are right. Building that depth through the high school is going to be big. It's going to be big. Yeah, Bill, and I think, I think something else about, the 5 wide receivers and, like, 2 tight end stuff is, man, it's so hard to stop Georgia's 12 personnel. I've had nightmares over it, man. Like, I felt more helpless watching Georgia's offense and, like, Tennessee's offense versus us this year. Like, you know, obviously Georgia's offense isn't like 2020 Bama good, but man, yeah, they were good. I mean, they had us on our heels. They were flattening us. It was an unfair fight. Like, I don't know how you guys felt, but you know, I um I think, man. mm, See here, got some more Jack Bash. I've gotten so many Jack Bash questions. Um, but yeah, thank you so much, John Sibley. You always are so generous to me. I really appreciate it. No tuition charge for informing y'all that Tommy Casanova sets top the best ever at LSU and a great pro. Jimmy Taylor was a man hill and anchored Green Bay. So who is the best DB? Casanova is there. Yeah, you can make a case Tommy Casanova is the best defensive back ever at LSU. But, for me, I mean, his name is on the freaking stadium. There'll never be a game played in Tiger Stadium without his name ingrained in the cement, if you will. Now, as far as like best DB ever, obviously, I don't agree with Tommy Casanova being the best. But then again, I separate modern era from like vintage era. Like, for instance, I think, if I'm comparing, Jamarcus Russell and Burt Jones, really is no comparison, right? They played in two completely different eras. Now, I thought a really interesting super chat a few weeks ago from Jordan was me picking between Steve Ensminger and David Woodley. That was very interesting. Two quarterbacks that had two illustrious post LSU careers. But obviously, I defer to people like you, people like Skipper, some of our elder PHLers that have watched these teams for decades. Right. I also think Charles Alexander would be a reference. I'll text him tomorrow. I'm going to talk to Charles in a minute. I'll get his opinion tomorrow on who he thinks is the GOAT DB. Obviously, his LSU knowledge is vast. So yeah, I love a good Tommy Casanova super chat, man. The number 37 uniform, it's glorious. I need to step up my Tommy Casanova collection over here as well. Right. Mike's also old school. He remembers the Casanovas. I don't know if I can, John. I don't know if I can handle this, man. Yeah. It's very, very interesting. I like that. Casanova or Patrick Peterson? Well, I mean, I think you guys know where I'm going to go with that one. But then again, I interviewed Patrick Peterson a ton, lost contact with him, post LSU, but I enjoyed my conversations with him. I think he's still my Twitter, like, cover photo on my Card of the Power Twitter account. Love me some Patrick Peterson, man. I do. And I'm happy he's on a winning team finally. So, yeah. It's a good question from Hitman. Should we really be trying this multi-tight end stuff when Louisiana produces so many wide receivers? I don't think you really need to do one or the other, right? I think, if Georgia didn't have Washington and Bowers, they wouldn't do as much of the 12 personnel stuff that they do now. But yeah, I also don't think LSU is dead set on trying to run more 12. I think they would have liked to. Um, so yeah, it is very interesting. So one thing I found very interesting going into this year, Hitman, is like how much 10, 11, and 12 you run. And for those that don't know what that means, 10 means 4 wide receiver sets. So the first number in personnel groupings represents the amount of running backs you have on the field. The second number tells you how many tight ends you have on the field. So 10 personnel means 1 running back, no tight ends, and 4 wide receivers. 11 personnel, which is the most common, 1 running back, 1 tight end. And then 12 is 1 running back and 2 tight ends. So that's what that means, right? You know, what was very interesting is Joe Sloan at Louisiana Tech, his last year as an OC, they ran more 10 personnel than anybody in group of 5. There were like, I think 2 or 3. So, there's a lot of, different philosophies that are in that room. And obviously Cortez Hankton came over from Georgia and they're, wants to get a very heavy 12 personnel team. So it's interesting. You don't have to do one or the other, but I do agree. Like, I think the optimal formation is 11, but if you can run 12 and have tight ends like Washington and Bowers, I think that's optimal, right? Because there's just so much crap you can do out of it. There's so much. You could run out of it. You could throw out of it. You could option out of it. I mean, Bowers takes handoffs sometimes. So, yeah. Oh, is it Creek's birthday? Is it Creek's birthday? Why don't you email me today, Creek? You can always email me and tell me when your birthday is. December 8th. Congratulations. Sweet potato pies for everybody. Let's go. Huh? Huh? Uh, I made it a point to not do anything productive. There you go. You're doing something productive right now, Creek. Y'all may not think you're doing something productive, but you are. You're hanging out with 194 of the best LSU football fans on the planet Earth. It's all we do, man. We talk recruiting. If you're new to the channel, feel free to subscribe. Feel free to ring the bell. In 15 minutes, we are going to challenge LA Mom's crown. Okay? Be on the lookout. But the hard thing is, if you're going to want to run 12, you've got to have somebody. I mean, you've got to have the dudes. Like, you can't just run 12 just to run 12, right? Tight end is really hard. It really, really is hard. I'll share something that someone who I'll put it this way: someone who knows way more about football than I ever will, and has played the game at an extremely high level, told me this over the past year, that there's no real such thing as a like elite blocking tight end, because tight ends don't play tight end to block; they want to catch, right? Every tight end, ask them, would you rather block or catch? They would rather catch the football. There's that many people, like, for instance, you don't really rep blocking as a tight end. At 7-on-7 circuits, do you ever see them stop and say, hey, let's see how you block a 9 technique? No, people want to catch. So, yeah. Please do. I'd love to talk with him again, man. I'm telling you, he is one of the um, smartest people I've ever been around. I'm serious. Like, his football acumen is so freaking ridiculous. I mean, and this was in college when I would talk to him. I mean, he was advanced. Like, he was one of the most well put together LSU football players ever. God, he was so good. He was so freaking good. And look, you want to put together a Mount Rushmore, the great LSU players, man. You got 3 years of elite production. 3 full years. It's crazy. Besh is better than Jenkins and Lacey. I agree with you on Kyron. You know, Jure, that's tough. You know, they're different players. Obviously, Jack is probably a better slot, move the chains kind of guy, but better than Jure. You know, their numbers in 2021 were like identical. So there's something for you there. But Jure was so freaking good for us this year. Like, he was timely. He adjusts to passes in air, and is unquestioned that Jure is the better deep ball receiver. And the more critical asset is the field stretcher of any offense, if you will. So, yeah, I'll say that they are about the same, but it's hard for me to make the case that Jack is better than Jure. As much as I like Jack, I don't know Jure. Never met Jure in my life. I know Jack. Not like well, we're not like pen pals or anything like that. So not be biased towards Jack. But Jure, man. What I would recommend is go watch the final touchdown Jure had versus Florida State and look at me with a straight face and say if that is not the filthiest route you have ever seen with the game on the line. Because it was. That was the nastiest, and I mean grossest, most grotesque piece of route running I have ever seen on a game tying asterisk touchdown when we really needed it. One play. Jure Chalk outlined it. That was a crime scene. What he did to that young man's ankles. The Titanic music started playing to that young man's ankles. I didn't remember the DB. The DB probably didn't remember himself. I would have done anything for that DB's well-being moving on in his life for Will Smith from the Men in Black to come do one of those flash things. Because that was filthy. I'll never forget that. Okay. Let's go to Grant Super Chat. Obviously, Grant's been one of my really good buddies, you know, dating back to our college days. He knew how much I loved Patrick Peterson in college. I freaking love that guy. So, yeah. What are my plans for off-season content? So, let's go through it. Obviously, I'm going to be posting a lot more in the Patreon. Looking forward to some recruiting rankings. So what I'm going to do is kind of like what I did last year for the 2022 cycle. You know, go through and I give my own evaluations for all the players coming in for LSU. Now, it's a little bit different because we didn't have as many high school, you know, recruits coming in. But I'm going to do the same thing for 2023. So I'm going to give you um, some players I think that are really, really, really special. Some guys that I like as well. So we're going to do a lot of recruiting stuff, and I'm looking forward to that. It depends, Grant. You let me know. Right now in the comment section, and I promise we'll get back into LSU stuff. In the comment section right now, let me know what you guys would like for me to do. And the number one thing I get is recruiting breakdowns, right? So yeah, I think for me, I do want to do some of that. Obviously, it depends who our quarterback's going to be. I did a lot of Max Johnson stuff going into the year before. That was a lot of fun. I did a lot of Jayden Daniels stuff going into this year. That was a lot of fun. So yeah, let me know. Bash is a giant Lance Moore. I love it, Jared. Good to see you, man. Palermo, some 10 personnel. Boris, yeah, Jure was so good for us this year. So good. What's good? Towboat. Are you towboating tonight? Stuck in the fog? Hope you're okay, man. Okay. All right. I guess I'm not getting any suggestions, so we'll move on. So, you let me know, Grant. I'll let you decide. How about that? Yeah, this is how I feel, Dwayne. And honestly, this year, I'll say this about Jack Besh, and then we'll move on to current stuff. Jack Besh caught every unlucky break this year. Like, it is unbelievable how unlucky this guy got. Okay, so you look last year, he was one of the big leaders of the team meetings, right? And I've learned this. He was really close with a lot of people on the team, including Garrett Nussmeier, right? And Jack Besh did all of this stuff. He was a big part of the SWAT team. He represented us at SEC Media Days. But right before the season begins, he started having these shin splint issues. Okay. And all the other receivers got very healthy, right? So, Dre missed some time in the spring. Kayshawn obviously missed all of spring. Malik missed some springtime. So, right before the season begins in the fall, he gets these shin splints. And then last year he played our de facto tight end, what I like to call 10.5 personnel. Okay. So the injuries. Then just honestly, every unlucky break happened. I don't think he ever really fumbled kicks in practice, but he did in the games, right? He muffed. He would get open and Jayden would miss him. They missed him for a big one versus Florida State, missed him for a big one versus Mississippi State. Not Jack Betch's fault. Okay. Then, there's just so many other things, right? Mason Taylor emerges. Even though Jack wasn't playing tight end anymore. And so on and so on and so on. And then, you have the most unlucky interception I will ever see happen versus Georgia. That was basically just a microcosm of the season. Okay. And then at your position, you have one of the most miraculous return to LSU announcements ever from Kayshawn. So, it honestly just everything that went wrong for him just went wrong. And I hate it because, like you, I like Jack a lot. But, part of it is also wide receiver is really, really, really hard. And it's very, very, very difficult to play this position. So, it's crazy. But I still think Jack's going to put up numbers wherever he goes. I do. And guess what? That's fine, right? Trey Palmer had one of the best seasons in the entire sport. Okay. Now, don't forget, PowerHourLSU.com. Black Friday prices are still up. We actually sold quite a bit during our last live stream. PowerHourLSU.com is where you can go. Okay. Now, I'm going to do the same thing I did, earlier this week. If you buy 2 items tonight, I will send you a Joe Burrow rookie card. Okay, once again, if you buy 2 items, I will send you a Joe Burrow rookie card from me right here, PowerHourLSU.com. Once again, that's PowerHourLSU.com. Go to the shop. If you buy 2 items, I'm sending you a Joe Burrow card. There you go. And it's getting cold. You guys asked for hoodies. I made hoodies, and get to it. Okay. LA Mom, you're early. You're early. Might have to disqualify you from tonight's competition like Simper. LA Mom, you're jumping the gun. I'm gonna have to call Star right now and say, look, I gotta put you on the block list with Simper. LA Mom, don't let me block you from the Presley Collection winner circle here. Okay. Yeah, I mean Trey was really good this year. But if Keyshawn played in Nebraska, he would tear up Big 12 defenses, right? Roger, 2 good wide receivers on the way in Sheldon Sampson and Jaylen Brown. You're missing somebody there. I'm telling you. When Kyle Parker knocks your socks off, remember where you heard it first, okay? Your one-on-one PHL interview with Jack Bish is a classic. Thank you so much, Mike. I really appreciate it. It was a lot of fun. It obviously, I haven't talked to Jack since, the transfer. But yeah, he's great. His parents are great. His mom sent me a very nice message, and yeah, I think he's going to put up numbers wherever he goes. I really do think so. He just gets open. Okay. But yeah, I think Jaylen Brown and Shelton Sampson they get the headlines because they got the hype, right? They got the umph to their names. But Kyle Parker, y'all watch the freak out, man. That kid can freaking play tackle football. Okay. It's a lot of different things I like. And I think you guys will see. Okay. Wide receiver could be a tricky thing to evaluate. But yeah. Okay. Let's see here. There we go. Brandon's not a JD guy. Doesn't matter how much of a dog an incoming freshman is, JD's going to leave him running for days. All right, Creek, happy birthday to you. Tell the fam I said hello. Let's see. Is that Aaron? Dundee. I'm going to go after Flo from Progressive. Okay. I think, so this is something I would advise. I don't know a whole lot about Justin Flo. I really don't. I know, like, he's like shredded and he's got like these really cool Instagram moments or whatever. But, I highly recommend, I've never looked at his huddle. I don't know. I don't know anything about him really. Would it be fun to take a flyer on him? Yeah, but while I think 5-star recruiting is very key and recruiting in the top 100 is very key, and it's oftentimes what wins you national championships, a lot of these guys are just guys. And I don't know anything about Flo. I just don't. But, I would, and Dundee, you might have watched his tape. I don't know. Let me know if you guys have watched Flo play, and let me know what you guys think. I've never watched him really play a snap. I'm going to be as honest as I possibly can. So you believe he's legit? So I'm gonna I am going to digress to you, Larry. Call him Hustle and Flow and play whoop that trick. Ha 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 ha. The deep cut. Baker, the playmaker. Josh McDaniels lost to Baker Mayfield today. It's crazy. Like, a lot of these retread second chance coaches honestly just suck at being head coaches. I'm not going to mention the other guy who's in that spot right now because I choose to not take the route of violence. Violence is not the answer. But yeah, apparently these guys just suck at head coaching. Huh? 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 LSU seems to be a 5-star dud magnet sometimes. Okay. Let's go through the 5 stars. Now I'm just going to go through the 247 composite 5 stars. How many duds have there been? So Eli Ricks and Eric Gilbert, I wouldn't call them duds because they were good players for us when they played. Obviously Kayshawn's not a dud. So that was 2021, 2022. Harold Perkins definitely not a dud. Okay. So let's go to 2021. Okay. 2019. So that was the John Emery class. He was a 5-star. Kind of duddy, obviously, but, he was good. He's been decent. I will say decent. Obviously, Derek Stingley wasn't a dud. 2018. I think Terrace Marshall was our only 5-star in that class. Not a dud. 2017. Only 5-star was Jacoby Stevens. He was okay. 2016, were there any 5 stars in that class? I don't know. But yeah, we do have some recruiting duds as well. So yeah, 2021, that was Mason and Sage. Mason, obviously not a dud. And Sage, it's okay. We'll see. Kevin Tolliver was fine. I mean, he wasn't a superstar, but he was fine. So Fulton and Lawrence were 2020, 2016. Yeah. Not duds. Not like elite, but they're pretty freaking good. Okay, and they stayed 4 years, and they were younger, right? They were some of the youngest 5 stars you'll ever see. So yeah, both those guys were really good. So that was 2016. So 2015, the 5 stars. That was a year after Fournette. So Dante Jackson was in that class with Darius Geis, but I don't think either one of them finished as 5 stars. Let me pull it up. So Kevin Tolliver, Tyron Johnson, Maya Tuema. That's probably the worst crop. Tuema was really good off field, got him. Tyron Johnson also really good. Transferred because of Les Miles. Kevin Tolliver was okay. Right? 2014, obviously, that's going to be Fournette, Dupree, Garrett, Adams. So Adams, Fournette, obviously superstars. Dupree, pretty good. Clifton Garrett. Probably the biggest 5-star bust ever at LSU. But I wish him nothing but the best. 2013, no 5 stars. Tre'Davious White was our highest graded. So 2012, see, none. Quan Alexander was our highest graded. Okay. 11. Okay, down. Now this is what we're cooking. Lyle Collins, superstar. Anthony Freak Johnson, okay. Jarvis Landry, obviously superstar. So, speaking of 5 stars, want to talk about a 5-star experience? You guys know the true 5-star PHL, right? Who is the truest of true? Where once you put on this bling bling, it's 5-star. And our winner tonight, because someone was disqualified, is the great Jacob Wiggins, our Pressy Collection winner. There you go. Anthony Star Pressy and the Pressy Collection .com. Bang. So, I had a great conversation with Anthony Star Presley a few days ago. And guess what he does? Engraving, right? You know, I mentioned all the time about like the rings for my wedding band. I got something engraved on mine. He does that. I'm telling you, highest quality stuff. Pressy Collection and PressyCollection.com. Watches, rings, necklaces, anything jewelry. Talk to Anthony Star Presley first, and it's free. It's the jewelry's not, but the conversation with them actually is. That's all I got to say. Anthony Star Presley and the Presley Collection.com. There you go, Semper. Okay, let's go to Grant. How about a few more $5 super chats? I love it. Thank you so much, Grant. How in the world did LSU not have any 5 stars in the 2012 class after playing for a national championship in the 2011 and 2012 season? That's a good question. Let's take a look if there was any 5 stars in 2012 in Louisiana. I guess overall it was just not, a great crop, if you will. Why is this doing this? All right, let me do this really quickly. It's not allowing me to pull this up. It's so weird. Okay. Okay, no results. That's weird. It doesn't let me pull up the Louisiana 5 stars on 247 anymore. It's kind of weird. All right. Landon Collins was a 5-star there. Shiro Davis wasn't a 5-star, but he went somewhere else. Okay. So let's take a look at the national 5 stars. LSU really in the running for anybody here? Stephon Diggs? No, we weren't in the running for him. Oh, yes, Gunnar Kiel. Oh, who remembers Gunnar Kiel? Didn't have the chest for LSU. Okay. Ryan Perlow's a beast. Shared my connection to Ryan Perlow plenty of times. His cousin is one of my lifelong friends. I say lifelong. We actually were roommates in college, but he's like a lifelong buddy to me. Larry, you know what's very interesting about this comment, Larry, is I honestly don't need to do anything. Yeah, I could sit here for the next 3 hours silent. You know, I don't have to do anything. Yes, I. Also, something to keep in mind is, I've been talking for an hour 18. Before this, I actually called 2 college basketball games. So sometimes I take a break, gather my thoughts, look through my phone to see messages people send me. So yeah, these breaks are like no longer than like 30 seconds sometimes. But just to let you know. Okay. It's just it's funny. I was like, it's your stream. You need to talk. Keep talking. Oh, I will. I will. Let's see here. So yeah, and I missed the Baker Mayfield inning tonight to be with you. I don't care about Baker Mayfield at all. But yeah, I mean, if I'm the Raiders, I mean, I guess I got to fire McDaniel now. I do. Yes, I do. Really was that epic? Ha, 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 ha. Yeah, I know. I think I know you pretty well, Blakey, and I have been chilling on here for quite some time now. That's kind of crazy. I've never known you as a Rams or Baker fan, but it got you on your feet. That's crazy. Ha ha ha. Oh, so Landon Collins was a 2011 kid. Why does it say 2012? I don't know. I should know that because I did. Uh, I did. I filmed some of his games. I was a sideline cameraman for some of his games. Greedy wise, Carter, if you could have any player in the portal, do you have one, sir? It's a good question, right? Like, you know what? I find this to be so fascinating to me. I've always thought like Spencer Sanders is like a very good quarterback. Like, I don't think he's special, but at Oklahoma State, this guy's just been really good. And I would love him, to bring him in. But obviously, we're loaded, if you will, at QB. So obviously, that would be a dream of mine to any player in the portal right now. Obviously, if I could have any player, just period, it would be obviously Caleb Williams or Drake May. But it's a pipe dream, right? So if I could have any player in the portal, obviously, I'm a big ZAVIEN Thomas fan, like we mentioned earlier, but he would come in and be our returner. How much would he give us a wide receiver? I don't know. I do like Denver Harris a lot, and he would fill a big need. So my answer to the kid, is whoever the best corners are in the portal, right? Because we just need them. Like we can't make a run at the title next year if we don't get some defensive back depth. We just won't have a chance. Even Georgia needed to get Darian Kendrick before their title run last year from Clemson. So, I think that's just going to be so key. Whichever DBs that are in there that Robert Steeples can bring in, that would be nice. Okay. You know what? That's actually a pretty good comp. I think they are very similar. Size, playmaking ability wise, speed. I think that's pretty fair. I do. All right. Good, Blake. I'm gonna check it out. I did take. So Rob G. I knew. For some reason I did take a deep breath a minute ago, and I think you heard it, Rob G. I freaking knew it. I knew it was going to be one of my day ones. I know you're laughing so hard at me right now, Rob G, because I was like, hold on, I did just take a deep breath a minute ago, and I know somebody picked up on it. Huh? 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 Or you might have just been referencing it, but I was like, someone's going to make that joke tonight, and I'm going to have a deep breath at some point. So I'll let you guys in on a little story here. So the college basketball games I called tonight, it was humid outside, and the way the air conditioner and how everything was in the arena, the floor was kind of slick. So some players slipped, and it had to get mopped a lot. So tonight's just been like chaotic from the get go, but But yeah, it's so funny. Talk but don't breathe. I love it. I freaking love it. That's so funny. Oh man. Okay, so here's off-season content to Grant Super Chat from a little bit earlier. Need an analysis of how Oklahoma and Texas will affect LSU recruiting in the future. I don't think it's going to affect it that much at all. To be honest, like I don't know. It's obviously Texas is already affecting our recruiting, so I don't think them coming into the SEC will affect us as much, as it is just now, right? If that makes sense. But really, how many recruiting battles have we had with Oklahoma? Right? They had Adrian Ely from the state of Louisiana, who was a really good player for them. I think he was from Gonzales. So I guess it could with the SEC brand. So it's just kind of hard to say at this point. Let's go to Grant. Analysis on how OU and Texas affect SEC alignment and SEC moves to a pod system. Yeah, what I think the SEC is going to do is it's not necessarily going to be pods, but you'll have 3 permanent teams that just all your permanents won't be the other team's permanents. So, you know, I think that's going to be very interesting. I do think the biggest thing about the SEC right now, trust me, I am not one that wants college football playoff expansion, but 12-team playoffs are going to be very exciting. It's still going to be fun. I kind of got some chills when I saw TCU, kind of like in the college basketball stuff, get up and cheer for making the playoff field. I think that's pretty cool. So I think we'll have more of that, obviously, with a 12-team playoff field. And it's going to be exciting. Even though I'm not fully in love with it, it's going to be exciting. Now, what I do think a big benefit of OU and Texas joining the SEC is it fixes one of the worst scheduling formats we have in all of sports, which is the current SEC game schedule format. So if there is a bonus to any of it, and it's not an LSU perspective here, even though it does help out LSU because we have to play Florida every year. I think the biggest thing is it's going to make the SEC a better conference, right? Whether it's an 8-game or a 9-game conference schedule, I think it's going to be 9. And I think it's gonna. I think it's gonna make the sport better. I really do think so. Okay. Somebody call an ambulance, but not for me. Huh? 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 That is a very online thing. That's my favorite online meme. Somebody call an ambulance, but not for me. Huh? Huh? I love it. Roger, really appreciate you, man. Thank you for your super chat earlier. Unless there's a better arm than Burrow. Well, a lot of people do. But arm strength does not equate great quarterbacking. Right? Who should be our permanents? That's a good question. Oh, I'm gonna let you know something as well. So earlier this year, it's a really good college football writer. I call him a writer. He's a mind. His name is CFB Matrix, Dave Bartu. And he asked me to be a part of a thought exercise with 15 other beat writers or YouTubers for certain teams. And he asked us to list our top 5 permanent opponents. Who would you like as your top 3? But he said, list your top 5. and the team that got the most first place votes was LSU. So while LSU doesn't have a permanent big rival like Alabama, Auburn, and Tennessee, Vanderbilt, or we don't have like an in-state other Power 5 team. There's a lot of teams that look forward to playing us. It's just the truth, right? So a lot of schools would make sense for LSU. You could make a case for LSU and Mississippi State. The oldest game that LSU has is that one, I think. LSU Ole Miss, the Magnolia Bowl. LSU Arkansas, the battle for the Golden Boot. LSU versus Florida has a little extra juice from the past decade or so. LSU Alabama, well, you guys know. LSU A&M is our current Thanksgiving rivalry week game. So a lot of schools make sense as permanents. LSU Auburn has history as well. For right now, I would guess the permanents at this point. I don't know. It's just hard to say. I think if it was a pod system where everybody would play each other once, and you would have the same 3 permanents as everybody else, it would be Mississippi State, Ole Miss, and Texas A&M. I think their 3 permanents would be A&M, I don't know. It's tough. I do think A&M would be one of them. Charlie is coming after me too. Rob G is one of the wittiest guys I know. No, I freaking love it. I love it. We've had a lot of people in here tonight. I really do appreciate that. Might be the start time. I might do Thursdays at 9. Normally I start Thursdays and 8. This has been, by far one of our more viewed Thursday nights. Rarely are Thursdays are they better than the Tuesdays, and there isn't like a big LSU story that's out in the last 24 hours. So I might start my Thursdays at 9. Zay, don't come after me. They don't. You were the one that wanted me to fight you during this last live stream. Zay was coming after me. Well, his dad was. I love it. So once again, still a lot of you in here. A few of you wanted to bring up a few different topics. It's kind of hard for me to see everybody. So if you want to go to any topic, feel free to super chat. It's Thursday. It doesn't have to be LSU related. I'll talk some other LSU stuff as well. Okay. Let me see here. Welcome in a few others in here. Gerald. Welcome, Gerald, to the channel. Daryl, good to see you again. Palermo Trapini. I love that name. I think Palermo is going to join the PHL T-shirt club tonight. I do. Anytime we get a Russell Shepard reference, I'm always down. Thank you, Jared, for your generosity. I appreciate you. Carson, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Honestly, not really. We haven't talked so much quarterbacks. It's actually tonight been mostly defensive backs, but you super chat, so we're going to talk quarterbacks. Let's do it. Okay. So we'll get back into conference debates a little bit later. If you want to get back into it, feel free to super chat, but I'm going to talk quarterbacks. Thank you so much, Carson, for your generosity. You are the top super chatter tonight. I appreciate you. Jared, always very supportive of our other top super chatters. So we go to Carson. Okay. Did I miss the quarterback talk? Well, guess what? You didn't. Okay. So I'm going to start over. I will say what I shared a little bit earlier in the live stream. I do think it would behoove Jayden Daniels to come back. I don't think he is going to have a big NFL market this year. Now, could I see an NFL team falling in love with him and rolling the dice? Yes. Because Jayden is really, really special with his legs. Not just good, not just great, but special with his legs. So, would Jayden Daniels get drafted in this next draft cycle? Yes, I do believe that. I think what teams will do is they'll copy what other teams have done, right? When the Ravens drafted Lamar Jackson, people viewed that as some, revolutionary thing. Same thing with Jalen Hurts, right? Quarterbacks who were labeled running quarterbacks, but turned out to be draft steals of the century. Obviously, we'll see what Jalen Hurts turns out to be. Lamar is obviously transcendently good at football at the NFL level. So I do think I do think Jayden Daniels would get drafted. I do. But I do think it would be better for him to come back. I do. Now, is it better for LSU to have Jayden Daniels come back? It's been a big debate in the Discord. Not going to lie, it's been our number one debate topic in our Discord. And if you want to see all the messages we have in our Discord about Jayden Daniels, come on over. Patreon.com/LSU football. For $9.99 a month, you get one-on-one chats with me. You get to ask me questions, anything you want. That's why I'm there. Okay. And yeah, when the live stream goes off, it's kind of hard to reach me. I am on all the other social medias, Twitter and Instagram and all that stuff. But I spend quite a bit of my time now in the Discord. And it's not me sharing information and nuggets. It's everybody else in there that do a really good job of having good LSU conversation. So just wanted to throw that out there. And you get all my Patreon backgrounds and all that stuff, whatever. So, is it better for LSU to have Jayden Daniels return? I think it is. I do. I think, as far as if Jayden returns, that means the likelihood of Walker Howard and Garrett Nussmeier transferring becomes higher. And that is true. But it's not a lock that either one of them transfers this next year, right? Garrett would firmly be the number 2 guy. And Walker Howard obviously would still have 4 years of eligibility to sort this out. They could also win the job. Now that we've seen evidence that Garrett Nussmeier can play he's got a legitimate shot. He's got a legitimate shot. I also think the Georgia game did make Brian Kelly look a little bit better in keeping Garrett Nussmeier in the quarterback QB1 race all the way up until the actual week of the game. Okay. Now, as bad as the Garrett Nussmeier turnovers were versus Southern, they were atrocious, beyond atrocious. Those interceptions should never be made. The second one was such a weird play call, but still, it should never be made. He obviously got better since then. He redefined himself in many different ways. And look, I talk to someone close to us pretty often. I talk to someone close to Jayden pretty often. Glad to call them my friends, and they both tell me they feel I'm balanced with evaluating both of them. Okay, so I do think Jayden Daniels coming back is a net positive, because it is something to be said about a young man giving your team a floor. Jayden Daniels gives LSU a high floor, but does he give LSU a ceiling? Right? You can make the case that Jayden Daniels limits LSU ceiling because he's not the most elite thrower of the football. And there's a verticality aspect of the offense that is missing if Jayden Daniels is the quarterback. And I like Jayden. Garrett Nussmeier gives you that. That is the number one thing Garrett Nussmeier gives any offense, is that. So, in a perfect world, you'd like to combine the two, but that's not what happens. Jayden is hardly ever careless with the football. Garrett Nussmeier, unfortunately, that's been part of the Nussmeier experience. And then, of course, you have Walker Howard. Okay? Walker Howard is obviously a supremely talented quarterback. He's a higher rated recruit than the other two, but all three of them are top 100 recruits. Not much of a gap, really. I think Jayden actually was a little bit higher rated than Walker, but still. Walker Howard to me is a really special quarterback prospect. Just watching what he did in high school, obviously his junior year, he had Jack Besh and Carter Arsenault to throw the football to. But his senior year is what really stood out to me, how good he was on a team that really wasn't that talented. And then, he performed well at all these camps. And, it was an injury-riddled senior season. I think Walker's very good. I do. But is he a year 2 guy or is he a year 3 guy? We really don't know. We really, really don't know. And I think Brian Kelly would like to know. So, as far as like Carson, this quarterback, discussion, I do think it would be nice to see Garrett Nussmeier get the nod for the bowl game. Let's see how he controls a huddle on a blank game script when the score is 0-0. Let's see how, when an opposing defense has to build their game plan around what he does well. I think that would be very illuminating as far as what LSU wants to do for the future of this quarterback room. I obviously think Garrett Nussmeier throws as beautiful of a ball as you're going to see. Does he have the absolute Ryan Mallett, Patrick Mahomes cannon you're ever going to see? No, but he's got a really good arm, right? He's got an amazing work ethic. He is an amazingly good teammate. And, he loves the SEC. So, man, I truly, truly do think Jayden will be your quarterback next year. I do. At this point, I think that's where we are. Let's get to some of your messages, Carson. Hopefully, I answered your question. Okay, let me get a few follow-ups here. I really do appreciate that, Carson. I go to Blake here. Jared does make a good point. It is a very, very good gig. Ask Chase Daniel. Huh? Look at Johnson and Carson. I want Alabama and Georgia as permanent. Dang, Larry. I might have to put you in timeout after this. You call me out for my silence, and then you make the worst joke of all time. Because guess what? Auburn fans are like, join the freaking club. Yeah, so Jayden really couldn't run this past game. He was playing through a lot of pain. He threw the football fine. There were a few misses there that were big. Um, but he did throw the football better. I'll put it that way. But yeah, I will say this, as big of a Jayden guy as I am, and I love this guy, I really do. There are, especially towards the end of the season, there were some excruciating misses. There are bad misses, and then there are excruciating ones, and those are the ones that are just that are really really tough, really really tough to swallow. And yeah, it's tough, and I do think there were some throws where I feel pretty comfortable that I would say Garrett Nussmeier would have made them, but it's tough. It's tough because like we don't beat Alabama if Jayden isn't our quarterback. He played so spectacularly in the crunch time moments of the game. I think it's crazy because that was one of the most pressure packed Alabama games we've ever had. And that was the first time we beat them at home since 2010. And Jayden was going back and forth with Bryce Young. Obviously Bryce Young a 5-star, Jayden Daniels a top 100 4-star, both Cali guys. I mean, you play your whole life for that moment. And Jayden in that moment was so freaking good in the fourth quarter of that game. Like it is truly, truly, truly special, some of the throws that guy made. And, I thought that was like, okay, this was a huge turning point for him. But it's crazy. Shout out to the Kingfish coming back. The Kingfish. We're talking about Huey P. Long. Isn't that what they called? Yeah, Huey P. Long's name was the Kingfish. So did Huey P. Long make a comeback? So the hockey team. Okay, so there was a Louisiana Kingfish hockey team. That's what I was thinking. I was like, are they really making a comeback? That's crazy. Appreciate you, Carson. Another super chat here. If I knew Nuss Howard and all the wide receivers would stay, I'd 100% want JD5 to come back. Yeah, I mean, I would too. But be honest, Carson, it's okay. I won't think any less of you or any one of you for this opinion. If JD5 coming back would mean you would lose either. All right, let's just. I'll put up a poll question for Carson here, okay? So secondary won this poll by a wide margin. Okay. All right, Carson, got the poll question up for you, my friend. Keep JD5 and Walker Howard punting us. Still doesn't read a defense. All right, so obviously it would take me bringing up the film here, and I can't do that now. So let me go through a few of the throws here. So Gary Nussmeier's first throw, his first snap, JD5 goes down with an injury. So it's 3rd and long. We run 4 verticals. Okay. Garrett made the wrong read, and he threw a ball to Kayshawn, which it should have gone to BTJ in that spot based on where the safety was. Now, obviously, that's difficult. It's your first throw of the game, so you should give him some leeway there. Okay, so let's go through this really quickly. The touchdown to Malik Neighbors was a whole shot. He read the defense and fit it in a tight window, but it wasn't like going from boom, boom. Okay. The touchdown to Jure was, kind of like not really a read the defense kind of thing. It was more of a scramble and make a big time play. Still really special. Okay. Here's one where he read the defense. It's 3rd and short. It's 3rd and 3 in a plus territory. Okay. And we ran mesh with a running back at a tight end. So we broke this play down in the film study. Okay. And, running mesh. And we had actually, I think it was a Jure or Kyron Lacey. You had a wide receiver at running back. And, after the mesh, Garrett, I think Jack was probably like the 2nd or 3rd receiver he looked at on that play. He had Jack Best remove the chains. That was a really good job reading the defense there. The other deep pass to Jure really made a good adjustment on. So yeah, I mean, I think Nuss reads the defense fine. I just think it's tough to, really say one way or the other with such a limited sample. So yeah. Consistently doesn't see the safety. Infinite interceptions, 2008 style. Okay, let's go through it again. So let's go through all his interceptions. INT versus Georgia was really bad. Should probably never throw that one. INT versus Southern rolls out to the left, and he kind of just threw it right. I mean, it just wasn't good. Interception versus Arkansas. One was on a fade, and then the other was directly to a safety. So you might be onto something. I'd have to go back and look at all the throws that he made. So yeah. So Carson, let me know if I answered your quarterback question good. We go to the Hitman, Rick Toviano, Denver Harris, Jordan Allen, Terrence Welch, all in the same defensive backfield. Yeah, he does fade a little bit. Yeah, let's go through this. So Desmond Ricks and Toviano. It's going to be interesting where they actually put Toviano. Some people view him more as a safety. That's where I view him. But, he plays mostly corner in high school. Denver Harris, I think, can really play. I do. Jordan Allen, LaTerrence Welsh. We'll see. Hitstick, you think LaTerrence Welsh is big time? I think the biggest thing for me with him is he was healthy. This is a guy who's gone through every different type of injury these past couple of years. So yeah, I'm very happy he healthily finished the year, and he was a special teamer for us this year. Jared and Nolan or Jared and Nolan have been in a convo. I don't think Collins would decommit. I think Walker starting next year would help keep Collins because that would be one less year to sit. I mean, maybe, it's always tough to play the quarterback timeline game, right? Because it is all so blurry, if you will. Like I don't know. When would Walker's time actually be? I think Walker's trying to answer that right now. You're just kind of guessing, right? Like, obviously Walker wants to be the quarterback at LSU. Who doesn't? Okay. That's what his dream has always been. Obviously, his dad playing here also, plays a role into all of this. But yeah, I mean, it's hard to try and guess how the timeline's actually playing out. Where does Ricky Collins fit into all of this? I don't know. I will say, Ricky definitely is, if you include Colin Hurley in this, is definitely the most athletic in terms of running of all four of those quarterbacks. But yeah, I hadn't talked about Colin Hurley. I think Colin Hurley can really play too. I do. I like it, Hit Stick. LaTerrence Welsh channel. Let's go. So far for Carson's poll, if it meant losing Walker Howard and or Garrett Nussmeier, would you want JD5 to come back for Carson? I don't trust players named Collins. Well, look, obviously Landon Collins, but we have Lyle Collins. So we're one and one here. So we'll see. Ricky Collins is going to, break the tie. But didn't we have Jalen Collins? Yeah, Jalen Collins. So we've had more great Collins than not great Collins. But I just think we remember Ricky Collins, or excuse me, Landon Collins the most because that one hurt the most. Oh, Cecil, you don't trust. Okay, there you go. Well, yeah, it's true. That I'm telling you, ask any older LSU fan, what is the most what if of what ifs? They will tell you Cecil Collins. I don't think any quarterback wants to be compared to Brett Favre right now. Good Lord. Huh? 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 Oh, man. That story is, it doesn't even make sense, honestly. It's just the deeper you go, the crazier it gets for a volleyball arena. Like, it's just I'm laughing, but it's like very serious stuff. Like, it is mind blowing to think that at that scale that they think that they could have pulled off that scheme and no one ever learned about it. Like, it just makes you wonder, like, how many of these things happen? Like, millions, multi-millions of dollars. Just abso-freaking-lutely insane. Um, I read that. I think I saw something else about it earlier. I hadn't really read about it, but it's like, God, when will it stop? When will it stop? And if you are going to do something, call. Don't leave text message, especially if you're texting government officials on government phones. It's all archived. It's going to come back. I digress. Booker McFarland says Cecil Collins was the most talented running back he had ever seen at any level. It's crazy. I trust Booger's football mind. That's good. Yeah, I don't know, Chaz. But yeah, I wasn't like saying anything about you with the kid. I was just like, God bless. But Brett Favre, the player, whew, I mean, just the funnest player. God bless. $100 billion. Welcome to the channel, Hunter. Good to see you. Freaking love it. This is a crazy stat for my late nighters here. I think you guys would. Oh, it's 11:20. That's crazy. I think you guys would like this stat. I'll put it up right here. Crap, where'd I put it? Where is it? Oh, I clicked on the wrong one. There you go. This stat is crazy to me. Lamar Jackson wins the Heisman Trophy in 2016. Stetson Bennett is a Heisman finalist. They were both born in 1997. That's crazy. Huh? 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 Oh, that's nuts. That is so nuts. Oh yeah, wait. So what is the what's the story here? So Curly Hallman, um, so Curly, I'm guessing Curly Hallman. Let's see. So Curly Hall. Let me get this straight. Curly Hallman. I googled it just a second ago. So Brett Favre. Okay, so Brett Favre upset Alabama, and Oh, okay, and Curly Hallman takes over at LSU. Oh, that's so interesting. That's so interesting. Asked this before, but when is the last time a starter for the whole season comes back for his senior year and loses his job in the spring? In the spring, I don't know. I do know this happened to Kelly Bryant. And at the time, there was people at Clemson that wanted Trevor to just get the job outright right when he got there. But yeah, it was crazy. Hurts. LSU is not beating Florida State next August with JAYDEN. Florida State's going to be good. They get Jordan Travis back. Everybody, welcome Smoke Nut Catering Concession. Welcome to the channel. Good to see you. So there you go. All right. In the next 5 minutes, I'll answer as many questions as I possibly can. Okay. But if you super chat, we'll keep this thing going all night. All right. Keep on keeping on. No, Florida State and LSU are both going to be very highly ranked going into next year. So Brandon says, look, we're going to be in more shootouts next year. We need them. Okay. Let's go to Blake. He's super chats. We'll keep it moving. Y'all show my guy Blake some love, man. He's had a crazy work schedule this year with everything going on. Are you hitting the hay? I know we're talking QBs right now, but I can't wait to see Perkins and Mason Smith on the field at the same time. And with that, I'm in the hay. I'll go Tigers. Yeah, I mean, look, let's chat about this, okay? It's not just Perkins and Mason, it's also Mekhi Wingo, right? Now, the one interesting thing about Mekhi Wingo is that while Mason Smith is a better talent, and when he was healthy, he was truly crazy good, but Wingo put together one of the better defensive tackle seasons at LSU, right? He's gotten some all SEC accolades. So we might be getting Wingo, Jaquelin Roy, and Mason Smith all on the same defensive line, which would be freaking crazy if Jaquelin Roy decides to come back, which would be huge. So yeah, I am as excited to see, especially if Roy comes back, but if he doesn't, Mason Smith and freaking Wingo together. But yeah, I mean, our front seven's going to be epic. We just need Greg Penn to take another step, and we need to find someone that's going to take Micah Baskerville's spot. Obviously Kobe Fields hit the portal. We'll see what Wes Weeks can do next year. We'll see what DeMario Tolan could do next year. But yeah, I mean, Baskerville's going to be tough to replace. And I know these last couple of games was kind of rough for him, but he probably was a little fatigued for carrying us in big spots this year. So yeah, I mean, thank you so much, Blake. I'll show Blake some love, man, in the chat for real. It goes a long freaking way. Deep breath. Yeah, we need a serious head hunting, hole plugging, QB blitzing, and a covering middle linebacker. I like that. So we need Ray Lewis in his prime. But yeah, that would be great. Obviously, Baskerville is such a good player for us. But who knows? Maybe Mike Jones comes back and turns into the player we expect him to be. I don't know. Maybe Whit Weeks is that guy just right off the jump. Or Christian Brathwaite. We need Devin White. Yeah, so you're Patrick Queen, Brady James. That's so good. That's funny. I love it. Hey, this is I never thought you'd jump by a live stream. God, man. Then this guy right here, this guy, he has the most punchable face I've ever seen. Is this a gig'em friendly show? Are you kidding me? You jump in here with 153 diehard LSU football fans and Barry holding it down in H-Town. Huh? I mean, just look at this face. Look at the don't y'all just man, I would do anything. I would do anything to prime Tyson the daylight. No, this is a gig and friendly show. What's up, Barry? Good to see you, man. Oh, I need to get Barry on here. Barry is one one of the best working comics in America right now. And I was very fortunate to share the stage with him once. And he actually is funny at stand-up comedy. I am not, and Barry could tell you that. I suck. That's why I don't really do it anymore. But yeah, that's good. So yeah, we'll talk about Harold Perkins moving to the inside. Speaking of sour Texas A&M fans, let's go to Harold Perkins. That's the only way to transition from this. And I knew Barry at some point was going to troll me about the A&M LSU game. I knew it. I'm curious if HP40 moves to the inside. Yeah, it's a good question, right? So, for me, and this goes along with Jackson's super chat here. Okay. So Mike has seen Barry do his thing before. Barry can crush. Barry can crush. That's great. I will say this before I get into this very good super chat from Nolan. Everyone show Nolan some love. Make Barry feel welcome. Barry is the only comic. I wish there was a photo of this. So Barry performed on one of my shows in person, and Barry, I presented a Yao Ming jersey for his birthday. I had this random Houston Rockets Yao Ming jersey, and I presented it to Barry on stage. It was so great. I love it. If Harold Perkins moves to the inside, I'm open to it. And look, I'm just going to say this right now. Okay. Let's say in a perfect scenario. Okay. Perfect. Like as in every ball bounces our way. Okay. And let's just say everybody decides to come back and run it back. Okay. And BJ Ojulari decides to come back. So BJ Ojulari is going to be the jack, and he'll start and play the whole season at that position. So then Harold Perkins in our base defense, if he's not playing the jack, he becomes the third linebacker, the nickel, right? Which obviously is a little bit different. We're getting into schematics, and it's tough without the actual photos being in front of you. For me, I think Harold Perkins is obviously a supreme talent. His his fall footage of him playing inside linebacker actually is really good. And Nolan, maybe that actually is Harold Perkins' position in the NFL, right? Because, he's not the absolute biggest guy, but he does have enough size, like it's like an inside linebacker. So, he gets compared to Micah Parsons. Micah's a little bit bigger than him. So it's tough, right? And when Harold Perkins came out, he was my number one player in 2022. But the one thing I always said was he's just special. When I watched his high school stuff, when I watched him in all these camps and all of that, I was like, okay, he's different. He's built different. But I always said I didn't know what his best position was. He could be an All-American running back if he wanted to. But, with Perk, can he play inside? He can. I think he could play anywhere on the defense. But, if we have a big need at inside linebacker, he might have to play that role, right? But it is different. It is a little bit different. And the interesting thing about that role is you can't be as downhill at that role. And I think sometimes, especially towards the end of the year, our linebackers got a little too downhill and got caught up in the mush, and running backs would bounce and there would be nobody there to tackle. So yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, good to have him. What's up, dude? This poll is bad business. Yeah, I just think it's just a straightforward poll. I mean, that's what the question was. That wasn't my choice, but I'll end it. put up a new poll question. Okay. There you go. SC West is going to be wide open, especially with Bama, replacing QB. Yeah, Joshua, I don't think, the poll question was like anything crazy, but it is the number one question I get, right? And that's what, Arson asked. So I don't think it was too bad. It wasn't like anybody was like trashing. Oh, okay. I think JD5 comes back. Nuss may leave. But yeah, no, I could see how some people take it that way. Perfectly fine. I wanted to put up a Harold Perkins poll question. Perkins should move to inside linebacker in 2023. That was fine. Poll question. Parsons is super long. Pause. I'm kidding. People talk about size for edge players. It's not as much about height and weight. It's about arm length. That is true, right? Like, it's crazy what long arms can do at that position, right? So, like, obviously, Chason was long. Arden Key, look at the NFL. One player I've really loved to watch in the NFL, I know they lost tonight, but Max Crosby is a lot of fun to watch. That dude is a freaking animal. But his arms are so freaking long, man. It's crazy. But yeah, I think, man, Harold, his the one thing about Perk is if you do move him inside, you can still do your passing sub packages, just bring in an extra DB. I saw Arkansas do this really well towards the end of the year, and we couldn't block a DB playing inside linebacker. We just couldn't, and it just gets more speed on the field. Oh, did he play a lot? Really? That's good. Huh? I'm not able to watch the NFL as much on Sundays because of, the film study cutting. And, this past weekend I was traveling. So there you go. Yeah. Barr was out. I gotta look this up. I'm happy for Devon Clark. Crazy, honestly. God, I'm so proud for him. He's probably one of the most athletic LSU players ever. Right? Like they would talk about his like how legendary he was in like the weight room. All right, Bear, we'll see you, man. Ooh. No, I'm fine. I'm a little tired. I called 2 college basketball games early, but I feel like I'm just normal right now. How does Toviano compare to Jamal Adams? Ooh, I mean, man, I don't know. I could see why some people think that way. I mean, Toviano just looks like a Jamal Adams type of athlete, right? It looks like he plays at a different speed. He's huge for a DB, but if I'm not mistaken, I think Adams in high school played safety, and Toviano, of course, plays corner and some running back for his school. So, um, yeah, I can see why that comparison. I mean, they're both from Texas, right? Um, but yeah, I always say this: unless I look, Toviano's, the little bit I watch of him, he's obviously really talented, but I'm one of those people that don't like to, because obviously, if I say he is Jamal Adams, that means I'm saying he is special, and I never like to say that about a player unless I'm just 1,000 gazillion% certain. And I think Toviano's really good. I do. But Jamal Adams is just good like day one. And we were talking about Patrick Peterson earlier. You got 3 elite double-digit games, all 3 of their seasons years out of Jamal and PP7. So, yeah. All right, so in the next 5 minutes, I'll answer as many questions as we possibly can. I know we got a few people popping in, but if you do super chat, we'll keep this party moving along all freaking night long. How about that? Jabril Cox. Oh, yeah, he's with the Cowboys too. That would be very nice. Give Quincy time. I mean, obviously, the technical aspect needs to come along, but obviously, athletically, he's there. Carter, it's like, give me a random LSU game, 1995 to present. I'll tell you where I was and what happened in the game. Okay. So Jackson, who was super chatted with the Liverpool backdrop. Okay. Um, let's go Jamarcus Russell's Sugar Bowl performance versus Brady Quinn in 06. Let's go with that one. All right, Blake, I appreciate you so much. Landon Ivy for 2023. Return man. Yeah, he's still with us. This is a Mike Jones. You're sick. And we won. Sorry, it's in between paydays. Love the show. No, thank you, Joshua. I appreciate you. Glad your son enjoyed the cards. Okay. Oh, and there we go. Got some K baby love in here. Oh no, Christian Fulton. Crap. You mean? Oh, I think you mean Kelvin Joseph. Here. And yeah, Kelvin Joseph's turned out to be a decent pro here. So yeah, how about that? All these chat bots invading the chat. Bring them on. I've blocked everyone I've seen. You got to blame Simper. Simper's not in here. Simper's gotten on me and saying, look, I don't like the slow chats. And we got to have Simper, right? So Simper's like, I don't like the slow chats. So I've stopped the slow chats and the porn bots come in. So there you go. So Christian Fulton is still with the Titans, if I'm not mistaken. So Kelvin Joseph, is he a good DB for the Cowboys? I don't know. I couldn't tell you. Oh yeah, I saw this today. So for those that think I take breaks, I'm oftentimes looking to see if there's anything else. Grant the bots if they're subscribed. Make it a subscriber only chat. That's true without the time limit. Kelvin Joseph. Okay, so Kelvin Joseph's with the Cowboys. So I will bring this up. So Destiny Wilson of LSU is no longer with LSU. She was an off-field recruiting staffer. And so she was really well liked by a lot of the recruits. But, you know, I will say anybody that works in sports, whether it be this, whether it be, you know, working for a team, especially now with the recruiting in the portal, you know, people want to live lives, you know, like I couldn't imagine like being a college football coach and like taking like a 2-week trip to Italy or something like that. It's hard. So I totally get, I don't know if she's getting another recruiting staffer job somewhere else, but yeah, some of you might not have ever even heard of this person. So yeah, there's so many people that work at every university, and those jobs are always ones that people want. People want to work for the big schools. So yeah. Carson says, what does it take to get an autograph card? Well, Carson, you join the PHL T-shirt club tonight. I'll send it. I'll send you. Look, I got one for you right here. Why not? One of the better ones. This might actually, considering how well this young man's played, I'm seeing this BJ Ojolari one right now. Carson, if you're on Twitter or Instagram, we'll work something out, man. Shoot me a message at Power Hour LSU, or you could send me an email, powerhourlsu@gmail.com. Send him the autographed JB rookies that you sent us when we bought a shirt. Man, I wish I wish I had a Joe Burrow autograph rookie. Send the Ojolari card. You can get them in packs. You can get them in marketplaces. There's a lot of different ways you can get them. Yeah, Carson, hit me up. I'll send it to you, man. For you, man. Oh, there you go. Huh? Didn't expect this. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate it. So, Carson, send me your information, and I will take care of it. Thank you so much for the generous chat. So we're going to be here for a minute, and thank you. I appreciate that. We're going to stay here as long as Carson wants to hang out. So, Carson, it's very important you send me a message, powerhourlsu@gmail.com. And yeah, we'll get you all set up. Got a bunch of swag I'm going to send you. First Hundo Club member in quite some time. So, yeah. Are y'all ready to stay up? We still got 123 people in here. We'll hang out. Charlie just sent me a message. Stop taking breaks and sucking in all that O2. So, if I'm serious. If I take a break, do you hear me breathing if I'm not talking? So there you go. Carson, I'm actually going to send you a bunch of stuff. So just shoot me a message. Email, Twitter, Instagram, and we'll get you all set up. Okay? Let's see. What all am I going to send Carson? I'm going to send him a Burrow too. Why is my floor damp? The Z, I just moved my foot. Okay. Is my floor damp? This is interesting. I've already had one tonight. But, well, Jared, you're a member of the Hundo Club. Y'all want me to text Van? I'll get Van on here. He's also a fellow Hundo Club member. I take a lot of breaks. I've taken like 3 30-second breaks. Like not like anything crazy. And when I'm taking a break, I'm actually looking to think of something that I've not brought up. I wanted to shout out Destiny Wilson. I've heard she's done really good stuff, and now she's leaving. I don't know her. So So like right now, can you hear me breathing? LSU had 6 all SEC team members. 6. Jason coming in hot. What's up, Jason? Okay. Hear me snoring. Yeah, I don't get this at all, Jason. Like, so like if you're Kobe Fields, right? Okay. You play the year at South Carolina. Okay. And he didn't play that much at South Carolina, did he? So he was able to get a red shirt out of this year. Right? So yeah, he played in one game in 2021. Now, he might have played in more than that, but in 2022 he played on a lot of special teams. So no matter what, he at best has only used up 1 year of eligibility. And I think he only played in one game in 2021. I think. So now, since you aren't a graduate transfer, you've got to right now go somewhere else and sit out a full year. Unless the rules have already been changed so you could transfer as many times as you want. Okay? So for me, I don't know what he's doing, Jason. I don't. Now, once again, these are kids. You can do whatever you want. I'm never going to bash a kid, especially a younger one. I don't know why he didn't stay. There's a lot. There's a lot that Kobe Fields has a lot to look forward to with LSU, right? Number one, who's to say you can't blossom and be the starting linebacker? Who's ahead of you right now? Nothing for certain. Micah Baskerville is gone. So the 3 experienced players that are ahead of you is West Weeks, Greg Penn, and DeMario Tolan. Now, those 3 guys are better than you now, but who's to say you don't surpass them? Okay? So I'm guessing he's going to have to go somewhere else and sit out that full year and account against his eligibility. Because I don't think he could transfer and play right away unless we're just missing something here, Jason. So, yeah. Let's go to Jason here with Little leaving and Pasio Ojolari. Time for Xavier Carter to put on 25 more pounds and shine. So, Jason, I know you have been a big believer in Xavier Carter. Now's his chance, right? We'll see what BJ Ojolari decides to do. I know LSU is praying for Jackson Howard or Deshaun Womack to play that position. Okay. But, it's crazy. It's honestly crazy to think about. So yeah, I'm down for a Xavier Carter resurgence. Obviously, he's super athletic. He does give you something on special teams. He's made a penalty or two on special teams this year. So yeah, just keep it going with Jason. Guys need to look at what dudes like Duke Riley, Dwayne Thomas, etc. did, waited their time, and put themselves in the starting rotation. Yeah, I understand like someone like Desmond Little, who's from Alabama, who's got like very little time left to go try and play somewhere else. But I always think, from an LSU perspective, if you're good enough, you're going to get your chance. Okay. My favorite thing about Jason, okay, every time Jason jumps in a chat. So for those that don't know, I got to meet Jason and his kid, this weekend for the first time. Meant a lot to me. I talked to Jason a bunch. The one thing I like about Jason, okay, he never just likes to bring up like quarterback. Like he doesn't want to come in here talking about Jaden Daniels and Bryce Young or Brian Kelly. Jason always super chats a deep cut question. And I freaking love that. That's what this channel is about. It's like deep cut LSU. I don't claim to know the most about LSU football. I don't claim to be, whatever. I just love deep LSU football conversation. And I like it when a super chat comes in and it includes Dwayne Thomas and Duke Riley. One player who's still in the NFL and one player who is coaching at Duke now. He was coaching at LSU previously. It's pretty cool. I like that those guys, made the most out of their careers, especially Duke Riley, who, if I'm not mistaken, like Foster Moreau, was the 3-star last player to get into his respective recruiting class. Jared, there you go. I'll Venmo you after the stream. Huh? I love it. Oh, Larry, I'm fine. I'm straight. I'm enjoying life, man. Coach O, I'm so glad those UNLV rumors were just bunk. I really don't want Coach O to be a head coach again. Like if that's what he wants to do it. I don't know. I kind of just want it to be poetic that his last head coaching job was us. Obviously, that's not going to be the case. He'll get another shot. But, it does make me cringe when I see him in Miami gear, whatever. But Coach O will forever be known as an LSU Tiger. Let's go. But yeah, it's just crazy Duke Riley's still in the league. Still in the league, right? Like, you want to know the definition of being counted out and nobody believing in you. That was definitely one of them. All right, B-Dubs. We'll see you, man. Yeah, Coach O, like, Bruce Feldman is closer to Coach O than any reporter. And Bruce Feldman reached out to Coach O, and Coach O told him, I haven't even been contacted by UNLV. And I was like, UNLV. So the biggest rumor for UNLV and the hire was Barry Odom. Okay. The biggest rumor for UNLV was Chris Peterson, one of the best coaches in the sport, who's retired. Why in the heck would he go to UNLV? And Ed Orgeron, who's collecting $17 million, gets to visit any campus he wants to, enjoying the single lifestyle. Why would Coach O go to UNLV? Like, I think he wants to coach again and prove people wrong. I think he's got a chip on his shoulder. But yeah, it's just weird. It's just weird as heck. We got a Ryan Russillo reference. Should have called Van in here. Coward. Oh, someone in sports media you'd want to watch an LSU game with? I'll answer that. But I'm gonna answer the super chats first. Let's go. Needs at the portal 4 to 5 D line, 3 linebackers, 2 to 3 tight ends, 3 to 4 corners, or maybe a safety. Yeah, all this. I think on the D line. Yeah, obviously, if Jaquelin Roy and Ojolari decide to come back, it changes this. But yeah, they're going to need a few D linemen. 3 linebackers, yes, I would like to see that. Tight ends, yes, we do need another one, at least one more out of the portal. But really, this last one is the biggest. And we talked about this earlier in the stream. 3 to 4 corners and maybe a safety. Yeah, I agree. I mean, we need numbers in the secondary. Okay. So, I think, as far as like DBs are concerned, I think really honestly, LSU's defensive backfield is going to need a lot of players to come in. Like, uh, shoot, I don't even know I don't even know where to start. Like, obviously, man, I need outside corner help in the worst way. They really do. Especially, they're probably had fingers crossed on Gardner, but I totally get why he'd want to go to the NFL now. And I know Gardner got an East West Shrine Game bowl invite. I do think he'll get in the Senior Bowl eventually. I do. Um, got the Landon Ivietta chat. Landon Ivietta's gotten some love tonight. So Grant, Jace actually knows Landon. Yeah, I hope so. Man, I'm hoping the best for Matthew Langlois. Yeah, I really am. New Roads, Louisiana. We need our native son to ball out. We do. We got a Dion reference. Got to get the DBs before Dion gets them. Hey, look, Travis Hunter's out there. Why can't we NIL Travis Hunter in? Why not? Let's go to Jason's next super chat here. Can you see them moving Sage to a free safety role and putting someone else in the nickel? He just doesn't seem comfortable there. I can. Um, you know, uh, like Saban, uh, like Saban recruited. So like Saban recruited Sage to play the Xavier McKinney role, which is kind of like this hybrid safety-ish kind of player. And it's kind of sort of a nickel and it's kind of sort of not. And Sage has struggled. He has struggled. I think the Auburn touchdown he gave up was a little unlucky. Obviously the Texas A&M catches were like just Moss level. Got beat pretty badly in the Tennessee game, but everybody did. So, I think, for me, would Sage be better at safety? Well, LSU had a lot of safety help this year. They had a lot of safeties on this roster. So yeah, I think, would I like to see Sage Ryan maybe in a new spot? Maybe so. But then, Jason, it gets into the next part of this is who will play the nickel. And I don't know. I honestly don't know. One thing I think that's kind of interesting about Sage is, I'd have to go back and look. We rarely blitzed him out of the nickel either. Now, we did bring a decent amount of DB blitzes. I have to go back and count all of them. But yeah, I think, Sage playing free safety, I'd be down. I'd be down to at least see what it looks like. But as of right now, you just don't like. Jay Ward's gone. Greg Brooks is probably gone. Getting Greg Brooks back would be very nice. But, we'll see. We'll see what he decides to do. Joe Foucher's got to go. It would be really nice to have him back, but this is his last year. And yeah. Yeah, Jason's on fire, man. Jason's a good dude. Wish each and every one of you could meet Jasons. Our society would be a lot better if we had more Jasons. Okay. Davion Thomas. I'm praying for this one. Oh man, I'm praying for it. Three packs. That's good. That's good, man. Appreciate Jason and Jared and Carson and all our big super chatters tonight. Every time I do a live stream, Jason, Grant, Jared, John Sibley, you guys know who they are. They always super chat and donate their hard-earned money to me. As you can tell, I like to keep my channel as spot free as possible. I don't have 1,000 ads. Now, hopefully that changes, but I'm very selective, right? As you could tell, even the one thing I do, get it, dude. Anyway, the one thing I do, it's like kind of a trivia thing. I wanted to make it feel like it's something, right? With the Pressey collection, I love Anthony Starr Pressey. I've never gotten to meet him, but yeah, I talk to him all the time. He is just the coolest dude. He really is. And I've said no to a lot of people. Trust me, I prayed about the Star Pressey one. And I knew I was going to say yes the first time I talked to him. The bias has been real. Will Anderson won the Bednarik when Perkins put up better numbers and less snaps. What's up, Rob? Yeah, Jason, I was Will Anderson really good this year? Yes. Was he as good as he was the year before? No. Yeah, I honestly think I would have thought about giving it to Drew Sanders because Drew Sanders played on a far worse supporting cast than obviously these other two, who was both of them were surrounded by future NFLers. Um, but yeah, Will Anderson, he was still statistically really good this year. But against us, he had one big play, right? Other than that, he didn't really do anything. And Perk was really good in some of our biggest games this year. So yeah, I don't know. Perk got all SEC, and he's getting all the freshman accolades. I do think Perk was better than Will Anderson this year, and I know it's going to come off as super biased, but if you guys heard me talk about Will Anderson this offseason, I remember the biggest debate. You guys know Blake is one of my best buddies. Blake Ruffino, are you serious? The biggest debate, the biggest shouting match we've ever gotten into was the Bryce Young versus Will Anderson Heisman debate in like a Twitter space. And me and him were just shouting at each other for like an hour. I wish someone recorded it. I'm a big Will Anderson guy. His Cincinnati game, Mike Dimbrock would tell you, was just truly, truly, truly transcendent. But Perk just changed everything this year for the LSU defense. And honestly, he changed the entire SEC West race. He really did. But what I will bring up, Jason, is we haven't discussed on this channel yet, and this is why I'm happy you're here, Jason. The super chats are great, but your knowledge is so great as well, along with it. One thing we haven't discussed on a live stream yet is Quinshon Judkins getting the SEC Newcomer of the Year award over Harold Perkins. Okay. Now, am I biased towards Perk? Maybe just a little bit, because there's a lot of videos of me saying that this guy was going to be an all-time great at LSU. Maybe. It's confirming my priors. But what I will say is it harder to put up video game numbers at running back, or is it harder to put up video game numbers at linebacker? And the answer is the latter, not the former. And while Quinshon Judkins was great, 1,400 yards, gazillion touchdowns, a couple 150-plus games, I still think Perk was a more outstanding freshman than Judkins was. And I can point to more games that Perk went out there and won for us than I can for Judkins. Now, I don't watch Judkins every single snap of every single game like I do Harold Perkins. So I might not be the most qualified person to answer this. And they do play different sides of the football, and they do play different positions. And I wish there was, like with every other award, a newcomer of the year on offense and a newcomer of the year on defense. But Harold Perkins got robbed. He got robbed. Okay. So, I think Jason, Will Anderson getting the Bednark. Okay. Judkins getting Newcomer of the Year award. I get it. I do. I think Perk was better than both of them. I really do. I really do. In the games that he played. Now, once again, the Florida State and the Tennessee game, he had no saying on the outcome. So, we'll see. I just think, if you're a running back and you're getting 22 carries a game, those are 22 direct opportunities you have to affect the game. And while it's not like the absolute best like comparison, but it's just the truth, right? And look, I think Rant's pretty fair, as is Mike. I don't know. I just think, like I was thinking about this earlier. Do we beat Mississippi State without Harold Perkins? Maybe. Do we beat Auburn without Harold Perkins? Maybe. I don't think we win both of those games without him. I think we probably lose one or the other. Arkansas game, we're definitely not winning that one without Perk. Alabama game, guys, I don't know. I really don't know if we're winning that one without Perk. I mean, he made so many big plays in that game. Ole Miss game, when the opposing team's coach is saying, "Why aren't they playing 40 more?" The entire game switched when we played him on every down. So while Judkins was phenomenal, we are not winning the West without Harold Perkins. And we sometimes overstate like an individual's impact on, any one team. But this is not the case here. We lose at least one more, if not two more games without him. I don't know which ones, but he just made so many different plays that the entire flow and outcomes of those games change. Now they might change and we still win, but it was truly just incredible how many different types of plays this guy made. So, yeah. If we get 1,000+ yard bank next year, we're going to the playoffs. I like it. The Perkins Coy Moore INT was worth its weight in gold. I love it. Oh yeah, that's been my position from the jump. I mean, I would have given it to Harold, but I get it. I get it. But you don't always have to lean offense over defense for this, though. Yeah, Judkins' game log though is just insane. It really is insane. Says you're gonna do. Carson hasn't messaged since the Hundo Club. So yeah, I'm trying to. I'll be emails me. I got a bunch of stuff in soon. Hey, what's up, Carson? Good to see you. Or email, don't Twitter or email anymore. So if you have a Google account, you should be able to send an email for it because you're commenting because you have a Gmail account. I'm guessing that's how that works. So my email is powerhourlsu@gmail.com. And yeah, you hit me up there. Also on Instagram at powerhourlsu. Oh, okay. So powerhourlsu@gmail.com. So my YouTube name, powerhourlsu@gmail.com. Shoot me an email right now. We'll get you all squared away, man. But Todd Harris has no more eligibility left. Yeah, I guess, the quarterbacks, like I don't know what happened with Spencer Sanders, but yeah, I think he would just continue to put up numbers in that offense. Let's see here. So powerhourlsu@gmail.com, Carson. I won't leave until you actually get the email sent. Yeah, I know, Pierce. I was just messing. Who's your most surprising transfer this year from any school? So yeah, I guess I'd say that. It's just interesting, like when like let's say like someone like Ra Thomas, right? Um the wide receiver from Mississippi State. So you're clearly the best receiver on Mississippi State. Now I don't know what Will Rogers is going to do this offseason, but you know, you're going to get a lot of balls. Like Tarara Thomas enters the portal. Where are you going to go? Obviously, the players don't like Leach. And, something else about Mike Leach is that, he's not a people pleaser by any stretch of the imagination. It's just not who he is. Mike has always been, his own thing, right? He's been, a little rough around the edges, if you will. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I look at that and yeah. All right, Joshua, we'll see you. But yeah, I guess, for me, I guess Spencer. Brandon Armstrong leaving Virginia and that offense didn't really shock me too much. But yeah, it's like I don't know. I think it was Jared who brought up that Matt Flynn said in an interview if the portal was around when he was playing, he would have been gone, which makes sense, right? Because Jay Russ was there. So yeah, I mean the portal is a very, very interesting monster. And it just always seems to, like I do think the red shirt rule was a really good rule. There you go. I got Carson's email. So I'm going to answer as many questions here at the end as we possibly can. Carson just emailed me. So there you go. It's always good. Let's go to KMC here. Without the portal, it would take us years to get back to 85. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, I mean, God, I don't even want to start. Huh? But then, a lot of what we lost was because of the portal as well, right? So, yeah, that's part of it. So, I'm going to sign this thing off. I will be chatting in the Discord right now. I'm going to work on, a few little extra projects I have coming up for the off season. I want to say thank you to all our big time super chatters. I really do appreciate it. Carson and Jason were our top super chatters of the evening, but I want to say thanks to everybody for everything that you do. Okay? It is Power Hour LSU. Bam! And tonight, we're doing some chicken basil pesto Mediterranean wraps. Let's go. Let's go.